Hey, thanks for tuning in to Things Might Happen with Tyler, Sheldon, and Tyler. Today we're going to be talking to Dan Hudspeth. He's a former tribal police officer. He does safety trainings. He also has a lot of stories about Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, and thanks for tuning in. We'll get into it.
All right.
Do we want the nut roll on the table?
I
mean,
like
I
the
can.
nut roll.
No.
I don't care.
Let's just turn it so it's facing the camera. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Trying to get sponsors.
Yeah.
I found
This
it,
episode
so-
is brought to you by Skippy.
We're gonna force
Yeah.
them to sponsor us by just
I'm gonna.
having
Dude,
it.
like, can you blur that out?
Can you blur out this?
Can you blur out the candy bar?
I'll be talking about your 12% A1C.
Yeah.
Skippy nut roll.
For my doctor in IHS, I'm gonna die.
So my dad had diabetes as well. He was remarried after he and my mom split, and my stepmom could never get his A1C down below 14%.
What?
She found out after he died that she would send him with a really healthy meal, and he would eat it. And then his friends brought him baked goods and soda every day at work.
That's the biggest problem. Like the wife, she knows but she's the first one to bring nothing but sugary stuff back.
Yeah.
And I said, bring me a vegetable tray or something like that, because I'll snack on all that all day, right?
Yeah.
You know, I got big ears. I'm a rabbit. I can do it. And it's because I'm not disciplined enough. But when I get disciplined, then it's like falling off the wagon, man. You know,
Yeah.
You get that first, Chico stick and you're done. Not like a, Mexican stick. It's the actual candy. It is a candy corn stick. But yeah, Snickers bars, stuff like that. And I don't take Snicker bars anymore because my business partner, John Musso, who's the CEO of the company, he said, you know what that looks like, right? I said, well, yeah, I know it looks like a, brown piece. And he said, no, it looks like a penis with all the veins that come out of it. So now I will not take Snickers bar because it has the lines on it. So
You were fine eating poop.
yeah,
but if
I
it
don't
did,
mind.
you're not
Shit.
touching it.
I mean, I had to take a lot of shit. So before, but yeah, just now picture that and it's a mental thing. So
Yeah.
Well, whatever helps.
right, he saved me from Snickers bars, but Reese's is another killer, boy. I tell you what.
All right. Well, welcome to Things Might Happen. We are 6 minutes into the podcast,
Oh, cool. Oh, wow.
and I'm sure not all of that will make it.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. That's a lot.
Yeah. This is Things Might Happen. We have Sheldon. We have him here.
He's
I'm,
lesbian today.
He's looking fresh. I've got Tyler here. And I'm Tyler.
And you're Tyler. Yeah.
And we have our guest today.
And we'll let him introduce himself.
We gotta
right?
we gotta give him a little bit of a give him a little
All right, all
spritz
right.
so he can
You're
get
on
the
the
rest
spot.
started.
Give him an intro.
Yeah, so this is Dan Hudspeth. He's a retired cop. He used to be a cop. He runs a security company.
Training, consulting, security, and
Consulting security. He loves Reese's.
anything with sugar. It's just kind of
Big fan of Snickers.
And,
yeah. Oh, God,
used to
no.
be.
Used to be. Yeah,
Used
it was. It was
Former
So he
fan
saw
of
the
Snickers.
light.
I
And
still dream about you though. Still dream about it.
And you know what? I think this is as good time as any just to say, Dan, tell us what is your life? Give us the 4-minute rundown.
All right, 4 minutes. That's going to be a little hard, but it will happen. Like I said, my name's Dan Hudspeth. I'm a second-generation police officer. Dad's a cop many years. Started my career in early 90s, around 92, and throughout Indian country, Bureau of Indian Affairs, bounced around, but all in all, I've been worked 9 different reservations as a police officer, and then I went home, back to my home, Pine Ridge, Oglala Sioux tribe, and started there back in 2001, beginning of 2002, and then from there, just kind of built what I had a passion to do. Was either want to be a teacher, because back then you could beat kids and get away with it. And but when they start changing that, I say I'll just be a cop. But no, I like doing both things. So I just started getting into instruction for police officers because I was tired of the old school way of here's a gun, here's the keys, and don't wreck the car. You can die, but just don't wreck the car. Type of attitude, and been hurt a lot of times. About 21 broken bones in my career, my 22, 23 year career. So.
And how many of those were yours?
Mine, all mine.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh boy, like I said, war stories.
All in one foot. That's what
It got to the point to where I loved being a police officer, public servant. I really did. It was just after a while, you get salty when you get older of how things change, and not only that, between politics and communities and different ideas and maybe generations, I don't know. But it was just time for me to take a real deep look in what I was doing and if I was making that change anymore. So, like I said, my business partner, I have to say business partner because I got confused one time when I said, this is my partner, and the lady said, oh, that's so nice that you guys, I said, no. Not there's anything wrong with it, it's just, looked like two bears, just not going to be a thing. But anyway, he talked about it about starting our own business. And he already had contracts set up, so as soon as I said that was it in 2015, 2016, the beginning, we got our first contract. Within a year, we had our first government contract. And since then, we've just been rolling between training, consulting. We got into the protection gig, protection services with the government contract. And we've been to Super Bowl, Native Protection Agency. Sheldon took Danny Girl with us in that time, and she probably told him of we froze in Minneapolis.
That was when Prince was the halftime show.
Halftime show.
That was pouring rain there.
Oh my God! I didn't believe him. I thought I'd been to cold places before, but oh my goodness, cellulite does freeze. It's pretty hard. So, but yeah, I got to see the little guy. I mean, Prince, sorry about that. But yeah, we were right there, and it was intense. And there's we could have went to Phoenix, but we had another obligation to another Native tribe to help build them security services. So we kind of go towards that because we still want to put back into a community. That's what the whole deal of Canksa Yuha is, the term that was given to us as a stick carrier, labeled as police officer back then. They were the ones that kept the village in order, could discipline, directed moves whenever, as we were considered a nomadic tribes, to Sioux, and so they would do that, and they would also help educate, the young ones and whatnot. So that's kind of what we saw ourselves as, and so we just went with that, and we've been going strong, to this day. We haven't been, we haven't collapsed anyway. So when we talk about how hard it is. Being a police officer is very hard, especially in Indian country, Native country out there, and seeing so many. But it's amazing that a lot of us are the same, regardless of the name of the tribe or who we are, but as a people, indigenous wise, and a lot of great people. I'm very honored to help a lot of tribes, a lot of different people. Throughout my police officer career, it's fun to go back. When I do go back and do maybe a contract with the tribe that I once worked at, and remembering the old stomping grounds, and hey, I was a wreck over there, and there's that person over there, and I remember
dead dog over there.
I see the bones are still there.
At a point where there wasn't a dead dog.
I remember there's a lot of beer cans over here, and they're still here.
Bunch of red dogs.
A gentleman told us when we were in Sisseton last week doing. Training their school security for things that they need to do. And he says, you're probably all the guys that the people used to chase around, you're chasing their kids now. Or you were chasing their, now you're teaching their kids or grandkids. Never thought of it that way. But, 92 was a long time ago, when you look at it. So, but yeah, that's, I think I'm better now with my PTSD than I was when I was a cop. because I'm not so angry. I can get angry, but I more want to laugh about it than more anything else. And boy, there's a lot of people don't want me to tell stories, so I can tell them.
So we're gonna have more laughs than like tables flipped.
Oh yeah,
Okay, all right.
oh yeah.
I'm just making sure where the line
I'm not going to
is.
slam a mug down.
By the end of this podcast, you're going to be on the floor. Just
Yeah, I'll show you a
I'm like one
technique
of
or
us.
two. And
Well, I would pick you in a fight over any of us. So
I don't know. I'm pretty good. I've seen a scrap or two.
that's going to be the ending of the episode. Is Dan and Tyler just bare knuckle brawling?
there's one thing I always tell everyone: why I became an instructor in tactics and firearms, all that good stuff, is because I don't like getting punched.
Yeah.
I don't like getting hit because I don't know if people know this, but that hurts.
Yeah.
And I do not like pain, so I'd rather protect and avoid. Check the ego, man. It's
Step
not worth
one,
it.
don't
Yeah.
That's what Mike Tyson has that saying. It's like everyone's got a plan until
They get hit.
until
Yeah,
they get
until
punched.
Until you punch in the
Punch the face. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I tell everyone I just don't want to. Yeah.
I was telling these guys that your hobby, one of your main hobbies, is guns. And
Oh yeah, I went from enthusiast to different names, right? I like guns. I love guns. I'm an enthusiast. I'm a collector. Now I just got issues. But it just comes down to I'm a firm, Second Amendment kind of guy. And my biggest thing is I believe everyone has the right to own one, just not everyone should have one.
Yeah.
For the fact that training is the biggest thing with that. And through all the things that go out there, me and Sheldon have some conversations about this, but if you're going to do any type of laws or change anything, just require people to do some training.
Sure.
That's it. Intelligence, because
yeah,
my hobby is guns. I got problems.
So I have to ask.
Will you let me hold one
Yeah.
right now?
Do you know how many guns that you own at this point? Do you
Well,
have that number in your head? You don't have to say the number. I'm just curious.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But there's been times that I've forgotten I've bought guns, and until I find them, it's like, dude, I remember I had this one. But I do. There's a digital copy. There's a handwritten copy, and then there's what I on as far as serial numbers, everything like that.
My father-in-law is an avid collector as well. I asked him at one point how many he had, and he just started thinking, and he's like, I had this many years ago. Well, how many do you have now? No idea. Just no. Like, he built a special room for them, and that is always locked and everything. He takes his safety very, very seriously. But
Oh yeah. That's
And
the biggest thing there.
we went to for a Christmas gift. We went to pay part of one he had on layaway at a place here in town. And we call up the place, and they're like, "Oh, we said his name." They're like, "Which one?" I'm like, how many are there? They're like 5. Oh, well, which one has the least amount left to pay on?
they're like
We're gonna pay that
$4,000.
Oh yeah, I just that was crazy because when raising my children, I have 5 beautiful children and much grandbabies now, and so much love there. But before, it was hard for me to, it's hard for me to not go buy something like that for myself.
Yeah.
And once now they're all grown and I'm able to now do what I want, I'm retired.
And then you buy your grandbaby's guns.
Oh, they got theirs. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went and bought them.
He's already bought.
So look at that big guy with that little pink chickmunk, 22, and I said, hey, it's not mine. It's going somewhere, and they got their own ARs already. They, I know that's a bad word, but they got their own things ready for when they are ready.
Sure.
And but yeah, I can just say I got over 50. So under 100.
Under 100. That's the surprising part.
Well,
I was
he's
gonna
not
say
in
over
Texas.
50 is. See, over 50. Okay, I believe that, but I don't know.
That's called the inheritance fund. That's how.
Yeah.
That's the college fund
The
right there.
investment. That's it.
Yeah. Well, they're probably. I would bet you that every gun you've bought is more valuable now than when you bought it. Like they probably have all gained value.
I got some that are highly expensive. Some are historical. I have something that was over 100 years. old, and it was the historical part of that is when it was used during the massacre in Wounded Knee, and it was passed down through generation.
Wow.
And that's been appraised at don't know, but it won't be sold because there's something to it.
Yeah.
There's more, and that's a lot of people don't see.
It's more valuable sentimentally to
Yeah.
you than the financial aspect would be.
Yeah, and money's money, and there's guns I got that I'll carry because if you ever have to use it to defend yourself or defend somebody else, it goes bye. Cops take it, the police got to take it, do their job and all that. You will rarely ever get them back. So I'm not going to walk around with a $16, $17, $2,000 Kimber or Wilson Combat and use it to defend myself. Why? Because God, no, that's a baby, right? I'm gonna go get a Taurus G2C or something that costs
Right.
$200-$300. I might even get a yeet cannon, right? High points,
Yeah,
they're
the big
ugly.
ol'-
Yeah,
I want a yeet cannon just for the name. I would never expect to load it at all. It would just be, look at this. It says yeet on the side.
It'll never fire.
yeah. So I get this whole conspiracy about both sides when they say we want gun control. That's only, I think they're the ones in cahoots with the firearms guys, because when they start to talk about banning, people still got buying, right?
I remember seeing something where it was like when Obama was elected, that was like when everybody started buying.
But I think they're the ones, secret. And again, politics to me, boy, I tell you like it is and what I see in conspiracists and whatnot, all this good stuff. But it just come down to it is people go crazy over stupid things. And that's just when it comes down to it. Like, okay.
It's like 2020 in toilet paper, right?
Yeah.
There was not a shortage, but people just bought until there was a shortage.
And that just tells you how many people are full of shit.
Well, I saw a thing a few months ago about how they were talking about banning menthol cigarettes. So I went and got a deep freezer.
Well, if they start banning Snickers, I might have to go back to them. They're hoarding those things, regardless of what they look like, right? But that's what happens. Someone says something, and
Everyone freaks out, yeah.
of course the media. Where did they go from there? But yeah.
They ban a book. That book is number 1 on Amazon the next day.
Yeah. The Anarchy Cookbook. You should go buy that on Amazon.
Oh, back in the day, you could download.
He's about to explain what he's on every government watch list.
I learned from a kid on how to make a zip gun. I learned how to make a pipe bomb. I learned all this stuff in the 80s.
Yeah.
And this was pre-internet. This was those things, and this is just because we were kids that played outside. We figured things
We're
out.
outside. Where you learn to make pipe bombs.
My dad, we were helping him, sort. They were going through evidence or destroying stuff, and he said, "Boys, I need you to help carry this stuff out." And say, "Oh, what's this?" He said, "That's a zip gun." So we're looking at it. He says, "Yeah, you just take this and this and this and this." And I say, Don't tell boys that go out and mess with tinker with things and stuff, because we're putting galvanized pipe, doing all kind of crazy stuff. And then he says, you take these shotgun shells, you pop them all. I was like, oh my God, here we go. And then so we were doing things, and just like my career in law enforcement, kids evolved when it comes 4th of July. They make sparkler bombs that are more deadlier than artillery shells. Just wrapping up, doing what they do. It takes somebody with an idea to figure something out, and just creative minds, I want to say, but yeah. It's nuts.
Creativity is not always good.
No. Oh, God.
Oh, by the way, I do not support the Anarchy Cookbook. That's a horrible book. There's so much misinformation in that
I
book.
hate it. It's so gross. It's disgusting to me.
It's
When I
just
read
nasty.
it every year, it just sickens me.
Well, it'll be like you make this explosive, right? But then when you really look into it, all the chemistry is totally wrong, and yeah. Anyway, horrible book. Don't buy it.
So you don't support it because
Because
your bombs were no good.
Yeah. I tested the theories in there, and they don't work.
Sheldon is working on catching up to the amount of watch lists that Dan's already on.
Yeah. We do dangerous drugs.
We do dangerous
presentation.
drugs. That's good. All right.
I don't do them. We do a class on them. First time I did that presentation was at the Prairie Wind Casino, and we had about maybe 60 people, and the majority were all elderly because we opened it up to whoever wanted to come. And John, our CEO, he develops a lot of the PowerPoints and the presentations, and I'm a good presenter, and I don't know why, but So we started talking in there, and he puts language in there that, what happens when you get the sexual part of meth or drugs and, the cocaine and what makes you up and down or, whatever. So I'm having to speak in front of a bunch of, elderly women about, meth, and whatever they're going to do, right? And why they just keep going and going, Energizer Bunny in it. And I get all red and I say, well, you guys can read this. It's a big old screen, right? And no, Dan, tell us what that is. I can't see it. And they just love picking on me. But after that, I really review those PowerPoints before I start the process.
Edit.
Yeah, I got to find different words, because we're straightforward training, and I say, you shut up. There's times you got to get a little,
So, do you guys teach a system that you developed, or do you teach an established system from somewhere else? Because I know a lot of schools around here have gone through the Alice training.
Mm-hmm. And no, it's I wing it every day. He's on the board. I say click, click, click.
What am I going to tell these kids to do today? All right.
No,
I just spit at them. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Everyone's scared of coaches.
Run!
Thousands of little experiments. What's going to happen?
Get out of my way! No, I'm kidding.
That's why they want the cameras.
Yeah.
That's how that worked out.
And
that wouldn't work.
You go and I've taken so many classes. I used to pay for my own to get certified in a lot of training. Law enforcement budgets were crappy then. They're crappy now. But it's now it's more become this than this. What's in the heart? What are you willing to do? I started a job, GS31, when I started in Lower Brill. First time BIA. I was making $3.10 an hour, just above the minimum wage back then. And 6 months in, I got 162 rounds pumped into my squad car. I responded to a call, and I was getting bucks for that. That was $3 an hour. And, afterwards, the wife stopped using the scanner. She don't listen to it because she didn't want to hear what was happening. And it's amazing how bad people shoot. This is why I say training. Because you put that many rounds and you can't hit a big man like me. I was way bigger than I was 350. I was a big boy. You ever see a car when the big guy gets out and it kind of, rocks a little bit? That's my squad car. Back then, our Crown Vics weren't very high in the suspension techniques. But yeah, it's something that we piece together through knowledge and common sense. A lot of it's common sense. Like I say, when I teach situational awareness, always avoid. And they say, well, that guy's got a knife. I'm going to take it away. I say, someone pulls a knife on me right now, I'm going to avoid it. If it means I'm, showing him my back and, running, that's fine. I don't need to take a knife away. But if it's a sudden attack, I can teach you how to deal with a sudden attack. And the first thing is to avoid it. Step off to it, how to move your feet.
Maybe kind of kick it out of its hand.
Oh, God, no. You'd be amazed.
The Steven Seagal.
How hard it is to get people to even understand the basic foot movement. But I'm patient. And having a lot of kids made me patient. So if you see a cop that is not patient, he don't have kids. So.
Or he's got too many kids.
Yeah. Or he probably can't count or know who they are. Nothing's worse than being a cop and pull into a community and a little boy comes up, are you my dad?
Maybe. I don't know.
I
keep track of that.
There's been a couple times I worked so hard, I don't remember nothing. Who's your mom?
Who's your mom? Maybe. Sounds like possible. We had an active shooter drill or active shooter training.
Uh-huh.
And usually our safety trainings are really boring. It's like, this is how you use a ladder. You want to make sure you're ergonomic. Go out, look at the sun sometimes or whatever. It's like this old misogynistic man, it's an ancient guy. And then this time they saw some active shooter training. They were like, oh, we got it that day. So we got some guy coming in. And he's like a sheriff from somewhere in Missouri or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, the active shooter training, it's the same thing, run, hide, or
last resort, fight, right?
But he spent the entire time going this is how you fight. He was like, you guys don't run. You guys know hide. All right, this is what you...
Don't be a punk.
Yeah, it was like a 4-hour, 5-hour training. And I swear most of it just kind of boiled down to, listen, in Hollywood, if you get shot, you fall over. That's your choice. You're choosing to do that. He's like, if you get shot, you can just keep going right through it and tackle the guy. And I was like, sitting there going, oh my god. And then he's like, if you're hiding, make sure you have like some object that you can use to attack him with. It's like, sometimes if you use a hammer, like you think you're gonna get him one side of the hammer and that's enough. Absolutely not. Just keep going. And I was like, oh.
Was this in high school or was this at your
this
job?
was like a year ago at a job.
All right. If you were telling this to high schoolers, somebody's getting beaten with a hammer later that day.
I mean, that's what I was sitting there the whole time just thinking, like, I gotta get more sharp objects around me.
Gotta have 3 staplers on my desk. I'm gonna throw the first 2.
Yeah.
And I say this, and I'm not trashing any trainer or any instructor on anything, but instructors sometimes let our own beliefs go into things. And I had a lot of problems with, that's why I would record and check, and I like to critique. Someone wants to critique me, please tell me what I'm doing wrong or what I'm doing right so I know that whatever it is. But yeah, I've had those instructors where, kill, right? It's like, well, yeah, but you know, some people aren't made that way. Yeah. Some people will not hurt a bug. They won't kill a fly, right? So you're going to expect them, you're in 4 or 5 hours, they're going to be, killers from the military.
Well, he had us repeat a phrase, and it's like, and the phrase was something like, so, if you're being attacked, remember, one of you guys can go home. It's like, it's like if you have a couple, shots, like they can fix gunshots. Like, so if you run at them, they won't know where to shoot at them. Like, I think they'll know where to shoot at. Like,
well, one good thing about that instructor is he lets you remember him.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, usually if I was in an active shooter scenario, I probably would just die.
I'm done.
There's not a lot of places for me to hide. I'm not going to get behind like a light pole. And
I'd be telling him just get the sheet cake and start quilt. I'm done.
If I run, he's just going to have to follow the asthma. So if I have to fight now, I know, like, all right,
Well, at least you can be a hero now and say, everyone get behind me.
Yeah. Make sure you put all your vital organs, kind of direct them away from them, and just run right at them.
Well, it's something I used many years ago when we didn't have vest, or they couldn't get one big enough to fit me. So I said, well, this is all ballistic gelatin, so I'm not worried about it, right? But I used to get in trouble. Where's your vest at, Hudspeth? Back there,
shrank in the wash.
So every time back then, they're not as nice. Nowadays, they're really, you can ball one up and like that, and they're really comfortable. Back then, it was no. We're back in the days. We got the hand-me-downs from Vietnam, the flak jackets, because that was a government, and it just made its way.
Steel plates or what?
No, it was just really thick Kevlar that was huge. Oh, really? Right? And you put it on, had the big old collar, and they said, "This is what I ain't patrolling in that." And then since I was the rookie, I didn't get a vest, and a lot of times we didn't get fully equipped until we were there at least a year or two, till they felt like when I said, "Here's the keys, here's the gun, don't wreck the car," because the car was more valuable than you. That's how the mentality was. And
when you were in your vehicle and it was shot, you said 160 sometimes. Yeah. Did you have a vest at that point?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't. I couldn't. Yeah.
The car.
Yeah.
The car was the vest.
The windshield. The windshield. And it's amazing. I other than getting a few scratches and tearing my knee on my uniform, that was what I got. I got in trouble for that because those pants were $65. Those BI French Blues, those were $62, and they weren't going to buy me another set, so I had to find a way to get that sewn up. So lucky my mom was real good at sewing.
Get a patch.
Yeah. But I didn't fire back.
Band.
And then the semi-automatic pistols were just now getting in law enforcement a lot. The Glocks came out, and they had Smith & Wesson, things like that. I got the old revolver, which was one of the greatest Christmas gifts that my kids gave me. It's the 686, Smith & Wesson 686 Plus. I really could have used that extra round back then. I used to carry a firearm all the time, but I don't anymore because I'm a native man, and I'm half and half. I'm half Hispanic and half Native. And with us as ethnic parts, we have no butts. So it kind of went away. So I got nothing to put a holster on. You know?
That's the reason. That's the
Yeah,
reason.
right.
It's just like,
Kept sliding down to the mid-thigh.
I'm having a, hey, Dan, that's a nice thigh holster. No, I just got to pull my pants up. So, long ago, I had an instructor, and he was making fun of us big cops. You know, because all in around, you know, you've seen them in the movies. They had an ankle holster, right? They got that 38 on the ankle. So before you even carry it, can you even reach it? So if you can't even train with the thing, you know, you can't even reach it, don't put it there. He had
to
to,
like find a park bench.
Stop shooting for a minute.
so one of the guys, and he later on, I think he passed away on us, but he said, well, I'll just put a string on the trigger and run it up to my pants and put it on my belt buckle. I'll lay on my back and pop. You know, and he must have tried it because he shot a toe off.
Oh, no.
So we kind of made jokes with that guy a lot. But I see a lot of, I watch YouTube. I see the shorts. I see all these different things. You know, and they had shootouts, and I keep tabs, like the stuff, the legit training that's out there that go to some of this now movie star stuff. You know, the John Wick. I met that instructor at SHOT Show. Great guy, and man, he teaches what he shows. And he's that fast, he's that move, and he's a big guy. The things that they do, they're under that stress. You know, Academy, they call it a cover and concealment. They shot at us with frozen paintballs, and those things hurt. I never got hit with one, thank God. But
For some of the younger people, all you would have to do is like put me into like a target situation, and then have an unknown number call.
And then he's under stress.
I'd be like, I can't.
But some of those questions that asked, you know, how did we survive this, or what would you say about, you know, my home, or what's the best avenue? One of the biggest ones is, how do I interact with law enforcement? And the sad part about it is, I have to tell them, comply, comply, comply. You'll have your day in court. And I do it. I've been pulled over by a lot of officers, and as being a cop many years, I roll in a rapid and I pucker. Right? I see the me and Sheldon are just rolling this way, and you know the unit right there, and Sheldon's just nonchalant. You know, so Joe's so used to up here, and I'm kind of like, hold this for me, Sheldon.
Like you're trying to make sure you don't secretly have a bunch of drugs you forgot about.
I never badged any other officer or any of that, because I'd always thought it was disrespectful to someone. If I pull over a fellow officer and he badges me, especially if it's from a different jurisdiction, to me that's a total disrespect, because we are no better than anybody else. So I was taught that from a rookie standpoint back in the 90s, you know, and even as a cadet in the 80s, police cadet with the White Mountain Apache tribe. So my dad always said, just because you wear the tin don't make you better than anybody else. So there should be no special rules for you, other than you should be the person that people will go to you. You know, I'll tell them, write me my ticket. Well, you got anything? I said, if you pulled me over for whatever you pulled me over, please, sir, please just write me my ticket and I'll be on your way.
I know you said you never have badged a police officer. Is it a crime if I make a badge
Yes.
for myself
Yes.
and like sew it onto my jacket?
Yes. Yes.
What if the badge says like not a, but in really small
I know
letters?
impersonating a police officer is
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
That's against the law. But what about impersonating a former police officer?
So please don't impersonate me, because they'll know. No,
I'm Dan Hudspeth.
yeah. You should know me, right?
Awesome. Well, we're at the hour mark. Do you have to pee?
Kind of. Yeah.
Are you holding all this time, Sheldon?
No, not all this time.
Just the last 45 minutes.
We'll take our first break. After
Because he has to.
We'll be back after these messages.
Yeah, 'cause Sheldon can't handle it. Can't handle his
You,
bubbling.
you'd never make it in a squad car, bro.
For a lot of
The
reasons.
shortest stakeouts ever.
How awesome that would be.
I do agree that'd be awesome.
Just have a fruit basket of pomegranate on the table all the time.
Yeah, I bought a pomegranate here just out of the blue. I was like, because I'd read that Greek Persephone in the Hades thing where something about pomegranate seeds, right? And I was like, you know what? I've never had a pomegranate. That's what I thought to myself. And I was like, I gotta have a pomegranate.
Then you opened it.
And then so I just bought one. And I was like, that's kind of expensive, but I'm sure this is gonna be worth it. I think about 2 of them. And then afterwards, as I went home, I looked up the YouTube video, how to prepare a pomegranate. And it was a 6-minute video. And I was like, what am I doing?
I watched a 6-minute video on how to repair your own foundation.
Yeah.
That's the same level.
That's the first time I did a pomegranate. I used every dish in the entire kitchen. 7 strainers, it's just,
And you almost got it peeled.
yeah. And then I had 2 or 3, and I was like, well, that's pretty good. Not worth this.
So you just
like-
eat it like an apple. Anyway,
All right, so we are back.
we're back after the messages.
We're,
Sheldon has an empty bladder now.
Yeah.
Well, probably only half full by this
Yeah, I
point.
drank a lot of right
Aw.
after.
his prostate's not very good. Because I push all of it out.
You ever
my
had that
head.
checked?
No.
There's a home kit.
Is there?
I don't
Just a glove.
All you need is a glove and an afternoon.
Want to be risky? No glove. Clean your fingernails though.
I cracked my head in the bathroom just now, and it hurt so bad.
Cracked your head?
Yeah, dude. That little
On the light fixture?
above the toilet, there's that little part that sticks out. It's right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, normally I see the part where I would hit my head and I avoid that. So you chose a
Well, I
different
still like
path
this.
there.
And it was right there.
Sheldon bucks when he pees.
I want to clean the blood off of that corner up there.
Did you actually cut your head open?
No, I didn't cut my head
Okay,
open,
all
but
right.
I did hit my head.
Cracked. You could say bumped, but you were saying cracked.
Stuffing
It was
the
harder than a
brain
bump.
back in.
I'll say that.
You knocked at your head.
Did you see
Yeah.
visions?
No.
Not that bad. Then you're
Not
right.
that bad. Yeah. I'm fine.
All right, Dan. Let's let's talk about. So you've got supernatural story. Well, first of all, which is the most rugged res? You said you've been to 9 of them.
You got to explain that to non-native people.
Oh,
that.
so in the
Are you qualified to talk about rugged?
in the late
like-
1800s, the government broke a lot of promises, but
No, go ahead. You finish your question.
which is the most rugged res?
No, we were talking rugged. Were you like high crime, serious crime?
What I'm really looking for is him to just be like Pine Ridge. That's really what I'm expecting.
We all know it's Pine Ridge.
Yeah.
Well, there's a funny story here. So I thought it was funny, and I was never allowed to ride with a news reporter ever again because I traumatized her, right? And she gets in, camera guy gets in the back, so I have to take the locks off. And I said, okay, you want the nice Pine Ridge, or do you want the real Pine Ridge? I said, well, we want real. What you guys really go through? Okay, since the call came in right away, we had a house party, and says, okay, what are we going? Says, well, the house party, but I'm going to prepare you. This home is not your average home. It is a housing house, but when we went in, we tell them just stay in the car. You can set up and do what you need to do, and you'll just see us in action. I said, come on, let's go. So the camera guy's coming. I go to the door, doom, 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 and I'm hearing kids, crying and things are going on, and then I hear some yelling and fighting, and they're ready to. And the next one, put the knife down. So right when that exigent circumstances, size 13 goes up, door goes down, I'm in. Right, and they're coming in behind me, and I'm guys are in their big old blood splatter over there, babies from down to a few months old that are in laying in a swing, and all the way up to like 7 running around, and they're watching whatever's on that TV, and they got every one of them's in diapers, including the 7-year-old. Right, all got hangers hanging, and what a hanger is, if you ever got really drunk and messed yourself and it just kind of hangs there, that's what a hanger is. It's in a pamper. So all this, and they didn't use this footage because it didn't go very far, and then a couple of guys were acting up. They had to get taken into custody. They didn't come voluntarily. So I got about 9 people out of that house. All right, a couple had to go with the medic because they were all stabbed up. And she came out of there, and she was crying.
The reporter?
The reporter was crying.
Yeah.
The cameraman was crying, showing tears, shaking his head. She was, oh my God. Just. I said, you ready for the next one? She goes, this don't happen every day, does it? So we went into Northridge on a second house party call. Not as graphic with the blood and all the good stuff. They were throwing commod cans at each other, and one had a big old ball in his head, right? And so we went in the house, same condition, horrible. Always amazed me is that you can buy beer, but you can't buy furniture. What the heck? Everyone has their priorities. So we go in that one, and she said, no, I can't do no more of these. I can't do no more of these. Can you take me back to the police department? So after that, I get called in after I leave. A couple hours later, handling my calls, I get called in. Deputy chief at the time. Well, Dan, you are no longer going to be riding with media. Thank you, right? And so yeah, it was traumatized. They had to go with another officer into another district. So
Supernatural story. Let's go to fun supernatural
It would
story.
all be determined on what your actual term.
Let's get away from
definition of
the-
rugged.
It was funny. What's your best supernatural story? No, where's the
Is
most
it-
crime? What's the most rugged?
We want
I
to
thought he
make
was just
people
going to
cry.
say Rosebud or something like that.
Rosebud's pretty tame to OST, but OST is not as bad as White Mount Apache. And again, San Carlos, anywhere close to your big metropolises, your bigger cities, like Phoenix and those places, you got some pretty violent stuff.
All right, so supernatural stuff, alien stuff. Oh, we can't say alien. Right, we're not sure.
In
Well,
context.
I'm half Hispanic. I'm not offended. So.
Well, not that alien. All right. This is not like an illegal immigrant, There's no visa for coming to Earth,
There's no drying my back. It's all right.
We're done that.
So there was working in a place that I find a lot of places I worked, all the places I worked, I want to say I have a special feelings for, because I met a lot of great people, lot of great people, and it always seemed like I was treated better by other tribes than I was ever treated, that I have been treated by my own sometimes, and that's the majority of them. I'm not trash talking, nothing. It's just, when you go some places and they look at you not because of where you're from, but what you provide, what you can do. So, but the place, Toyac, Colorado, the Ute Mountain Ute Res, the beautiful landscape. It's kind of just Cortez. It's by the Four Corners. Don't look at not too far from Shiprock. My youngest son was born in Shiprock. That was a fun ride, right? Getting him there, and then he didn't come until 4 days later. Psyched us out. But yeah, that place there. There's a place out just, I guess I want to say southwest of Toyac. It's called Chimney Rock, right? It's just a big rock that came out of the ground and looks like a chimney, and then pass on that road to go up to the Anasazi ruins, and then they have kivas there. Their kiva is usually in the ground where they hold their ceremonies, pit, and they have the tops covered with a hole for like the smoke and whatnot coming out. Anyway, big stone building right below Chimney Rock there, and we go patrol that area because a lot of kids would go, or people would go out there and drink. And so it was one of our security routes. We go and check that place. And so I see some lights cruising down, I see some lights off to the distance. And so they're probably at the Kiva. So like, all right, time to be a cop. And I'm going to go out there and be a cop. Got my mirror shades on. No, I'm kidding. I never wear shades. I'm blind. So I'm headed out there and kind of pulling up, and I see huge, just bright light coming out of the top of the furthest Kiva. And there's a big stone building. We're talking big stones. And the door was actually, the wooden door, it's so old, the Kiva itself, it's a historical site. So if you ever go look at it, if it's still there, this was, of course, back in 95. So I'm out there, I'm a rookie, I'm, crappiest cars what we had, Chevy Caprice, 88, no lights and no nothing. Roll up out there. Let's make this story short. So I'm thinking, big light coming out. So I think they're partying in the Kiva. No cars there, though. So I thought, okay, something's going on. So I just call into dispatch and tell them, hey, I got some lights out here at Chimney Rock by the Kiva. I'm going to check it out. So I open the door, take the flashlight out, the door. And back then, it's not these cool little flashlights that we got are super high lumen. That was a 5D, regulator flashlight. That's what we adjusted attitudes back then with, right? So I take that out and I shine over there. Pretty soon that light goes from there to the second one to the third one, and it lights up the Kiva, the one that's above ground. And that big wooden door, if you look at railroad ties, that door was kind of made out of so heavy. It just swings open, bright light in there. The shutters are iron shutters. They start flapping. So I'm like, okay, get back in the car. When you hear people say, well, the hairs on the back of my neck was starting to stand, all that. No, it was when shouldn't be there, you don't be there. Get in the car, put in reverse. I said, I'm clear. And my dispatcher, the standard procedure is to respond and give us the time. All they said was 10-4. And it was a different voice than my dispatcher, Brenda. And I back up. I'm going. And we're about maybe, I want to say, probably less than a mile from the highway. And I'm seeing units coming. Red and blues rolling. They're running code, and we call code 3. They're running this, and they're coming from Shiprock area. And one's coming from the west, and one's coming down. And as they come along, I'm pull up, and my sergeant at the time, Dale, he comes right up to me, and how cops do, window to window. You all right? Everything okay? He's freaking out. I said, yeah, just a few. He said, we've been calling you. You haven't responded. All the officers are there. So we should go up there. I said, no, there's just nothing. Because I'm not going to tell them I just saw a bunch of lights. Because, I want to be credible.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you said you were doing it.
Yeah. You tell anyone this story. I can say now because I'm retired and I don't have to testify in court and say, you're a liar. I can tell my stories. So we leave. And when he said, get back to the PD. So I go 1019. We called the code back then to get back to PD. Go back. Brenda's freaking. She's already got the cedar out. She's blessing me and going out to the car and doing all this, as, the religion there goes. And I says, what's the problem? And Dale's, my sergeant's chewing me out. You need to respond back. I said, I did. I wasn't a few minutes, like maybe 2 at the most, right? And she said, no, you've been out for over almost 25 minutes. So when they checked, he looked at my little clock inside the car, missing 23 minutes from his. So I said, I'm serious. Look, showed him my watch, good old Casio watch, the good stuff back then, right? The bag phone, the old Motorola bag phone where you actually had to put the antenna with the cord up on top of the car. That was the first types of cell phones that we had back then. God, I'm old.
I didn't even know. I just learned about a new type of cell phone.
Yeah.
In this moment.
It go back to the old Motorola's.
I believe it, yeah.
It had a hamster inside that ran on a wheel.
That's the thing. You had to keep plugged in order for your battery to stay alive. It had an antenna that would go here, but you plug in the other antenna and you put it on top of your car, and it looks just like a house phone, with the cord still attached to it.
House phone, he says. House phone, he says.
Yeah. Nobody knows what a house phone. Yeah. But anyway, and after that, they wanted to hold ceremony. The tribe wanted to do a ceremony for me to make sure that I was okay. And of course, the running joke was, hey, Dan, your underwear is still left out there, stuff like that. But the lights, it wasn't the first time they saw lights. And my sergeant at the time used to make fun of me about that until he was chasing a car out that way. And I was backing him up, but I was coming about maybe 30 miles out because I was coming back from a place, the White Mesa, part of the res, and that's 80 miles away from Toyac. And now getting closer, he said he's en route chasing. So I get on that road, and you go further back, maybe 10 miles up that road, you get up top of the plateau, and there's ruins up there. He got up there, lights gone, no lights, but just from his headlights and his red and blues rotating, the old street hawks, not fancy, LEDs like they got now. They actually rotated, So I know we're blowing minds with old stuff here, but some of you old people know what I'm talking about. But he was coming back. He said, but when he saw the lights, he could see in the dust that he settled up. He saw things moving, and they weren't human. He said, they're not human. He went back. He called the chief, said he was taking some time off. He went straight down to Eagle Claw, the liquor store. He got himself his 12 pack, and he went back to his house. He was that shook up. He called me later and asked if I still had any whiskey. I wasn't a whiskey drinker. It's just, when you're friends with old cops, you got to have liquor.
Just a little bit around.
Yeah, because that's what they carried in their squad cars. I'm not telling on them. I'm just saying that's what got them through their shift.
It was back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
This doesn't happen now.
Yeah, statute of limitations is way gone.
Yeah.
Right. But no, it was that type of thing, and in that area around, and we're talking Shiprock, New Mexico, Farmington, a lot of that type of activity would say they see lights in the air, and everyone could say, well, it's the military doing things like that, but when you see something like that, and this light was brighter than anything I've ever saw. We're talking like maybe 100 times brighter than my spotlight coming out of that ground. So I can actually say I've seen it. And I've seen other things that can't be explained. We chased Bigfoot once, in Pine Ridge, out actually Porcupine area.
Chris Pereira will love that.
It was actually it was broadcast, and they did a show over it, We had thermal imaging at the time, which is these big old things, and we make a running joke of it now.
Yeah.
Me, John Musso, and other ones. We're big guys. He's a smaller guy. And so what happens if we? And I asked us, guys, we're out here looking, and of course our captain at the time, he was looking through the thermal, and he could see the figure. He says, you're not probably 20 yards from it, 10, 20 yards. And big guy, and I said, geez, and I thought that was John that stunk. And so I just looked at him, so what are you going to do if we catch him? We can't arrest him or anything. So I just going to outrun you guys. I said, no, I'm just going to shoot you in the leg, and, you're on your own. Me and Buzz got to get out of here, right? So, but yeah, you see a lot of crazy things out there, and it comes down to some just can't explain.
Last weekend I was driving from North Dakota down back here, and northwestern South Dakota. I was praying to get abducted, dude. That was so boring. I'd kill to get probed. You know what I mean?
Please, I'm ready for you.
2 a.m. I'm just like, this is the worst I've ever been.
Be like that chick on Independence Day on that. Yeah, we're here. Come get me. Big old sign on your car.
Shake up the trip a little bit.
What?
All right. So done supernatural. Looked at Bigfoot. Do you have a
There's some ghost stories out there.
Like something funny. Like you said, you've got some really funny
the ghost
stuff.
story is funny too.
Yeah, that's true.
People need to understand any cop or any first responder. It's like our vets. When they go through some really traumatic things. The saying out there is, if you're not laughing, you're crying. Because you have to cover up that in order to be. Because if you were to break down, automatically you're weak. You can't do your job. You shouldn't be doing this because you can't handle the job, right? Back in the day, there was no crisis intervention. There was no debriefing. There was none of that. It was cop up, man up, buck up type stuff. If you can't do the job, put the badge on the table and I'll get another trained monkey to do it, right? And actually, that was actually told to me by one of my chiefs of police. And if Dennis Simmons ever sees this, he knows what I'm talking about. He's a great guy. Love him to death. Follow him all over. Taught me a lot. But, yeah, so we have dark humor. It all comes dark humor. And this happened in Pine Ridge or on the res down south there. And there's a stretch of road outside of Porcupine at the time that was notorious for horses. Horses on the highway. If you ever go down Pine Ridge, always horses on that stretch. They're out of South Kyle, Sharps, all that area. And in this situation, we had one where we responded to a car that hit some horses. We had a fatality. And when we're dealing with that one, we get about 30 minutes later, we get another call. Same. This is up further by Sharps, going towards Rocky Ford. So I sent 2 of my guys to break off from here, get up there, and it was another fatality. Well, next thing you know, I get a call. And dispatch says, you might want to roll out there to the other guys. And It's okay. Well, what's going on? You got some complaints. People are calling. They're very pissed. Oh, what did my guys do? You know, I'm already just got that sigh of sickness in my stomach, you know, ready to have the gauze, you know. It's just bad. So, all right, I'm rolling that way, get up there and see my guys are kind of laughing around. I look over and I see 2 prosthetic legs standing up on the side of the road. And this lady could be with, this is just wrong. So go to my officer and I say, dude, what the hell? Heck, what the heck? You know? And so he said, well, boss, that's my uncle. But I found one of his legs and I found the other leg, so I might as well put them together so I don't lose them. And I'm sorry, but it's to me, it's like he's still standing there, making sure I'm doing my job. And he's laughing, and it's like, oh my God! And then, you know, there people getting mad, and so I don't know what they're mad about. You know, they got their legs. You know, he's really throwing stuff out there. You just get out of here. And I had to get him, break him away. I said, okay, you got to go. And so we went and dealt with the rest of that. And so I said, well, asked the coroner and the funeral home showed up and said, well, we're going to put the legs. Well, if it wasn't found with the body, we can't put it with the body. So, you know, my officer goes over and he picks them both up, throws them over his shoulder, and where the feet and the soles of them are sticking up, and he's just walking around with them. And people are just mad. And afterwards, he takes them to the unit, he puts them in the back, secures them, and he's sitting in his unit. And I told one of my other officers, go check on him, make sure he's okay. So he goes over and he comes back and says, you need to go talk to him. So I go talk to him, and you've had a hysterical laugh before, to where it's like you're laughing, but you're actually crying.
Yeah.
And that's what was going through him.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And I said, I say his name out of respect, but you okay? We need to talk. He said, boss, I'm ready to go right now. I'm ready to go right now. And he took his gun belt off, slid it off, and gave it to me. I need to go right now.
Yeah.
So I knew what he was talking about. And he says, I got to get these legs to the family, because I don't want them walking away. I'm like, oh man, come on, man! You're hurting this bad. But you're still throwing these prosthetic jokes
He's
out.
crying
there.
out for help,
Yeah,
but you can't. You gotta be like.
So I said, do you want me to take them just in case you can't control them? And he busted out laughing more. And he said, no, boss, I think I can get them. Because we're related. We got relation here. These legs are like my legs, and so we just kept going at it and kept pushing it. But I know why, because if we stopped the humor, he would have collapsed right there.
Yeah.
And so I had to explain that to several other people, and including a community meeting who was upset about it, and had to explain the difference when it come down to type of PTSD and traumatic events. Excuse me. It's still, there's not a place that I go around our res and I can point out fatality scenes. I can point out where we found bodies, where we found horrific things that went on, but we make jokes about it a lot, And like I was talking about the other officer, that how he dealt with situations, he'd go in, people fighting and whatnot, he'd go straight to the refrigerator, I've seen him make sandwiches and ask, where's the mustard at? People stopped there cussing around. It's on the top shelf over there, and I've seen him walk around with the baggie, and he's collecting cockroaches. That's what are you doing? We're going to have a race later in the PD, This type of dark stuff that goes on, it's just the way the mentality is. When we look back at it, it's funny, but when it was actually happening, we were, there's a couple other times on different reservations that, come across to go check on that officer. Where's he at? So we go looking for him. We see the car there. Don't see anyone around, and what's going on? What's going on? And see that I seen this other vehicle take off. I said, oh man, because we just had not too long before that, a couple weeks prior to that, we've had an officer ambushed and killed. Never made the news because it was a tribal cop. Nobody cares. But so I'm worried. I'm looking all over, and then as soon as I kind of go over this draw, and the car took off, and he pulled the car over, and this is one of the times where officers were inappropriate. They took up the, well, if you let me go, I'll do this, So he followed the car, which happened to be a female, got him undressed, took his clothes, everything, and took off. So he was kind of a ways away from his. She made get in my car because nobody will see it. Well, I found him bucky. He was naked, and he actually only had his campaign hat. That was the only thing he had, and he was wearing it walking.
He was wearing it on his head.
Wearing it on his head.
Oh,
He didn't cover nothing. He was walking, in his socks, and they were mismatched socks. It was funniest thing you could see. And spotlights on him, and the only thing I even bring that close to watching, if you ever watch the Porky's movies, and they see Pee-wee running down the road and the cops come up by and he's running. Well, that's how I seen this officer. And still don't know who the one. We did find his gun belt with his service weapon and whatnot. And she took everything. She got him all done. And I said, how did she persuaded me, boss? How is this even possible? You didn't see this? Man, she was stacked, boss. I was in love. I was like, okay. So that one, after that,
that prompted some officer training, huh?
Yeah. Well, he didn't last very long because actually, I had to write it up as just that. First of all, you're not supposed to do that. It's inappropriate. Not only that, it's illegal.
Is that a checkbox on the write-up form? That's one of them.
You somehow passed your psyche val. I don't know how. You sexual deviant, But it was just a funny story to see him walking with his campaign hat on, and that's it. And 2 mismatched socks.
Yeah.
That's all he had. Not even his
That's
watch.
the embarrassing
Did he have
part.
his shoes too?
No, she took his
great.
boots.
Socks, no boots,
Yeah.
a hat, and nothing else.
That's it.
I don't even
And a
know
smile.
what I would do in that scenario.
I've never found, not saying I didn't love my first wife or love my wife now, Susan. You guys are great. And I don't think there's anyone to ever make me want to strip down that much. Right? I'm a little self-conscious, but,
Now I wonder where he is today. Like, what do you think he
If
got
he
up
ever's
to after
watching
that?
this, I apologize. I didn't throw the name out there, so you're safe, bro. You can just say it wasn't me.
Yeah,
Well, we
Doug.
Yeah, Greg.
Yes, Doug Gray. You heard it here first.
Doug Gray. What a-
Bubba.
Doug Gregg.
Hey, Bubba.
Doug Bubba Gregg.
Yeah, there's that one. And, of course, you've all heard the ones where they get locked out of their cars. They go and keys are left in the ignition or their car gets stolen from them.
How often did that happen?
To me once.
It happened to you?
Yeah. Rookie. I was a rookie. I was stupid. And it was, I just don't know how to explain it other than I had a Dan moment. That's it. I left the keys, jumped out the unit, took off running. That's why after that another thing, when you chase people, I learned not to chase people when you get clotheslined from, the laundry, clotheslines outside, chasing people, or come around the corner and get hit in the face with the 2x4 and fracture your bones in your face.
Yeah, that would do it.
That should have did it, but what it took was someone to drive off in my police car. That caused me to say, and lucky enough they were drunk and he just went into a ditch about maybe 100 yards up. So
I've never heard a cop say, lucky enough he was drunk.
yeah, because I said, stay right there. We know that when an officer gives an order, they're supposed to obey that. When
there's a guy you had like.
stay right there. I'm going to check your car. And I went to check his car because he already
And
hit
he went to check your
a pole.
car.
And I go back and I see my taillights going off. And I see it crash. And there I am, big guy running.
My car was worth more than you. You weren't supposed to let that happen.
Oh, that took some days off of me. They suspended me for that. And I said, well, how else was I supposed to? Well, how did you just cuff him and put him in your car? I said, I couldn't. I was investigating a DUI. I was still wondering. And it was reported that he was transporting alcohol. So I had to check it, So,
And when he drove into the ditch, you were like,
Yeah.
there we go. That's reasonable suspicion.
I can arrest him now.
see, that's why I really push training nowadays, to train new police officers not to do the stupid things that I've done.
Yeah.
I really wish that at this point they had the body cams, because then you would have this on video. You would have all this on video.
There's a lot of us old guys that are really happy, just like us old kids that grew up in the 70s, 80s. We are very lucky there was not cameras and phone cameras, because the stuff that we did and got away with, like I said, zip guns and pipe bombs. I mean, we're not going to record that nowadays, Or,
Well, no, now it's on YouTube.
yeah, now everything you do is, and in fact, that's one of my trainings for law enforcement, corrections, security. watch what you do because everybody has a camera now.
Yeah.
So, or forget to put the car in gear when you jump out of it and chase somebody and your car goes away with the Ghost Rider in it.
too.
Yeah, that happened to me too. And it's amazing, as big as I was, to get out of the car that fast. That's what they all laugh about.
And you didn't even run yourself over.
No, I didn't. They said, Dan, how'd you get out so fast to forget to put it in gear? I said, it was like lightning. I was that quick. So, the nickname for Dan after that for a while was Quick. Here comes Quick. I said, shut up. It was one time. It only happens one time, and nobody ever lets you forget stuff.
Yeah, it only happens one time that you let a drunk guy steal your police car. It only happens one time
But
that
I
you
gotta say,
ride the whip.
that's and I didn't even charge the guy with stealing my police car. Why? Because that's just too darn embarrassing, right? You took off with my police car. Did you leave it on? Well, yeah, I had to leave it on. I mean, come on.
Yeah, there's a thing. Oh, so he did breaking entering too.
Yeah.
No, he didn't do that.
No, he didn't. So how did he get into your car? So he didn't. It just went over there.
Yeah.
Because the more and more you try to explain it, the stupider it gets. Yeah.
Well, and this is one of those things where it's like, oh, if it happens once,
Yeah.
it's one thing.
Oh, yeah.
If it happens a second time, you got to figure something else out.
You got to go work at Taco Bell. Like,
It's time to
This is not for
put the
you.
badge on the table, and I'll get another trained monkey to do this, because apparently you don't know how to watch your suspects.
Speaking of stories, if you got one more ghost story you said you had.
I have one not too far from where your mom lives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that one there is and it's always been known about that church right across White River Bridge. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go out there and it's snowing and you see lights, but there's no tracks. So we figured someone was walking and got into that and trying to stay warm. So I'll get out there, and then, of course, you all heard, any of you heard how a mountain lion makes a sound? How it kind of has a weird I'm not even going to try and mimic it because it's even stupider, right? But it has a screech to it. And so I get out there and I see the light. But I also see the chains on the door, and they're chained from the outside. So I figured it got in somewhere. But there's no tracks going around. I'm the only one making tracks. But everywhere I went, that light inside that church was going with me. And then I kind of happened to glance just off, my peripheral, and there was a lady standing there holding an old lantern looking at me. It's time for me to go. Right? So,
She's fine.
I got negative contact out here, and the sun's backing up. The light went away. So, and I wasn't the only one. Another officer told me the exact same thing that happened to him when he was out there patrolling. And of course, the thing that runs with you along that highway of the Red Shirt Road. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there's
Classic
a lot.
stories.
Yeah.
Well, this church is about 15 miles away from the nearest town. So just out in the
Who
middle of the way.
decided that was the right place to put the church?
Well, that's where they are on the res. They're just like
on
they
number,
just-
and that was the number 6 community. So there's actual community there, and the people that live there.
Okay.
But and then of course we're in White Mountain Apache. I'm cruising along doing my road check out to Canyon Day community, and you go a little further, like you're going to Carrizo Junction, which is about 20 miles away down further, but it's a long stretch. I'm cruising and I see old guy walking. Old man, old Apache guy, and pull over to give him a ride, call it in, get him in. Dispatcher's crackling. I couldn't really get good reception, but there was always good reception in that area, but just I couldn't get it. Got the old guy in, and in my unit, there was in the back, I was using the reserve unit, which was a Caprice Classic 4-door sedan, because mine was in the shop. And we drove Broncos or Blazers back then. So they're just the 2-door versions. Well, this 4-door, I got them in the back, and you can't open them from the inside. They're locked in the cage. And I got the old guy in, and I had all my snacks up in the front. That's where I became diabetic. Anyway, all the snacks up front where no one was touching my snacks, right? And nobody gets in front with me. So I call it in, I call my mileage in, I'm taking it back to Canyon Day. And I could understand, I since I grew up there, I kind of could understand some of the language, the native language. And he was talking, so I figured, okay, in Canyon Day and the street that he was on in the area. So I'm pulled through there and pull up, and he's banging on the cage that right there. So pull into the approach and just old shack there, just run down shack, So I call in dispatch, and now they could hear me. And I told them where it was. So I was letting out the 1012, the rider. So I get out, open it up, and nobody in the backseat. Nobody in there, nothing going on. I dispatched. They asked me 1019 to 103, which means get back to the station. So I get back there, and we had 3 dispatchers working. They worked because one handles the eastern, western, and the other one handles central. So they started asking me, was he wearing a cowboy hat? Did he have like a blue and white flannel, old jeans? You know how the old was his boots kind of curled up at the toes? I said, well, yeah. So they told me the whole story about just not too far from there, a little further down in the 60s, I believe it was. They said there was a elderly man and woman. They broke down in the truck. Well, he went to go get help, and when he was going to get help, he was ran over by a logging truck. And that same logging truck, after it hit him, kept going and hit the truck and killed the old lady too. So it's either you pick up the elderly man or the elderly woman. You come across the truck with her in it, and she's trying to find her husband. So after that, I was like, well, I'm not patrolling Canyon Day Road no more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff that we go through and we see. And a lot of it can say lack of sleep deprivation, because we work long hours and we don't know how to time management, or we're not allowed to. Maybe we get off and the family needs to go here, go there, doctor appointments, whatever. So you're not really sleeping. When you nap, can anyone survive off a 1 or 2 hour nap, in 24 hours?
Yeah.
So longest shift I ever had was a little more than 72 hours straight. And boy, looked like I was on crack afterwards. Talking here, talking there. So yeah, some will say just the BS factor, It's all, but things happen. You just can't explain it. Just like how can we explain someone act the way they act, and later on say, well, that's strange. He would never act like that.
Yeah.
But when you don't see what we see when it's actually happening, so.
It's actually things might happen.
No, that's great, because you just don't know when things might happen.
Things might. That's the name of the book. Things might happen. Ghost stories.
Are you guys copy ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, might happen.
We'll license it to you, though.
There you go. I'll catch you in on that one then. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys ever we're doing a training. In fact, next week we're doing firearms training for a group of gentlemen, and I think there's a lady in that one, at our range there, and just on Mission Flats or out of Pine Ridge by Red Cloud School. It's away enough from Red Cloud School. Nobody has to worry about all the guns going off. They're pretty used to us now. And then Crow Creek, we'll be in Crow Creek.
I'm sorry.
Crow Creek doing a security certification for their community safety project that they're doing out there in Crow Creek. And I believe some more training later on in the month back out east of South Dakota again. So,
I have one last question.
Yep.
Is it true that there's a specific part of the head that you can shoot and someone's brain will explode?
Is this covered in your training?
We say you shoot to stop the threat.
Yeah.
So if with all the body armor that civilians can get now, because it's not proprietary that you have to be law enforcement, security, or military to get body armor. It's out there, everyone. If it's out for kids in school, backpacks and all that. So we say 2 chests, 1 in melon. Shut the computer off. So I've only seen one time. Now, if you want me to tell the gory story, I'll tell you the gory story.
I don't think we want all the details. I just want a yes.
Okay. Well, I've seen what 270 will do to the head. Put it that way. When someone pulls a trigger on themselves, and and I was like,
on themselves. God, this is good. Sad.
Whoa,
it's a bad story.
And my lieutenant, who I was there to back up, because he was from another jurisdiction, and I was there to help him, and he was, well, go ahead and do it then. If you're gonna do, boom, and that was it. And I was,
Yeah, you were sitting there
wide-eyed.
going like, you weren't supposed to do it. Like,
That's not how you talk down or de-escalate a situation, right? But that was the first
Police
time
training.
I actually
This is
seen
why
it.
we do that.
So there are some movies where I call the BS factor. I don't look, no, and I'll tell them that's not how it looks.
Yeah.
And then I've seen some that you bet you hit it right on, eh?
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly how it looks. So, but a specific part, always go towards the bottom up, and you'll take the top off.
That's a yes. That's a yes,
That's
I
a yes.
think.
Okay.
I'm going to take that as a yes.
That's a specific.
All right. So on that note, Things Might Happen is a very in-demand show. We have millions of listeners, and we're trying to curate the brand to match the gravitas that we bring. So we're trying to find a sponsor that encapsulates who we are. So we have today something for us to try to see if it's going to be good enough for us. And I was sitting here trying to make it accessible, and I was doing a bad job. I was just crinkling this bag the whole time. So what I had is I felt like it was appropriate for us. It's Sweetwood smoked or smoking jalapeno fatty, which I think we've all been called at some point.
I've been called daddy.
So this right
Chomp
here.
off of this meat stick.
So I think what might work is I'm gonna like peel it. I'm gonna like rip off a part, and then I'll pass it, and then you guys can like rip off your own parts, unless you want to do it differently.
I'll have to pass because Sheldon knows this story because I was telling him
Yeah,
earlier.
we were just talking about this actually.
Yeah, not only is the jalapeno that's in it, right, that old people don't process it good anymore.
Okay.
I don't know if there's oils in them that also causes me not to, process it anymore properly.
Yeah, this thing is, I mean, I'm glistening.
It is all oil. Like they were not joking when they said fatty. It was
I
just
could imagine.
yeah.
I've had the original one, and that caused me don't eat those on a road trip with Dan or John, because you have to make more stops. But it was all right. It's just a lot of grease in it, or oil, or whatever it's in there.
So you would endorse the fatty.
Oh yeah, it's just that's a catchy name. Heck, I respond to it all the time.
I gotta say this is really good. Like this is really good.
It's so greasy. I'm usually a lean meat kind of guy, you know what I mean?
All natural.
Mostly kale.
It does feel like somebody took a like pepperoni pizza from Little Caesar and like squeezed it out, and then just like
Oh my god, that's literally what it tastes like.
mhm.
Yeah.
Kale and chicken breast, that's me. That's what I get into.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go straight to the number. I'm gonna give it 5.5 out of 10.
This is something that's got a little spice to it, and Sheldon rated it above a 5. That's remarkable.
I would eat that whole thing on camera in a disgusting way. And but I can't eat that 'cause otherwise, it's not just old people. I'm afraid to touch my face. I'm gonna immediately break
Works
out.
for diabetic people.
Yeah, it's 1 gram of sugar, so
Why is there any sugar?
you got to have something to absorb the grease a little bit.
Jalapeno meat.
Some
What
meat
would
is
you
sweeter
rate?
than others.
Yeah.
Sweet meat. That's
would you
another
rate?
name for it.
I would give it 13 grams of protein out of 10.
13 out of 10.
13 grams of protein.
out of 10.
not bad.
650 milligrams of sodium.
Never mind.
Yeah.
We need the sponsorship.
Well,
that was
see,
amazing.
You can get with them and see if they'll sponsor your guys' own Things Might Happen sweet meat.
Things might happen fatty.
Yeah, fatty.
Smoked
Yeah.
meat stick.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, it's been a real pleasure having you on, Dan.
Oh,
and
thank
I
you
hope
guys.
we have you on at least once more before you pass.
Yeah.
Because
I
you are getting
never
up there in
know.
age.
Never know.
And
Keep
we are going to have
hitting,
to...
Skippy bars.
Hey, this is the first time, and I'm still debating. It's just because it has peanut butter, and peanut butter's natural.
Yeah. Comes from the earth.
Yeah, it comes from the earth.
Unlike this.
Grows in the ground.
This is not from the earth.
I think this is what came down when you saw those lights over it.
It could be. Type of oiliness just lets it all come out.
All All right.
Yeah,
Well, let's cut it there. And
Oh no!
Oh,
Let them shout out
Oh,
your company, your whatever you
All
want.
right, yeah. Like I said, we're Canksa Yuha Training Consulting Protection Services. Provide a wide range of training for law enforcement, security, military, civilians, victims of violence, a lot of situational awareness and the type of training, and certifications through National Law Enforcement Training Center at Kansas City, Missouri. Shout out to them out there. They're great guys. My CEO, John Musso, Hermes, he's got me into the whole deal, coaxed me in, and yeah, great guy. And we have fellow contractors out there that do work for us. If we don't know it, we reach out. They come and provide the services. So we are there, and our motto is professional services, professional training with traditional service. Okay, we really cater to protection. Because the things that are going on now, it's all about you are your own first responder. And the more knowledge you have, the more power you have.
And you guys got social media or website or something?
Facebook under Canksa Yuha. Our email is canksa at Outlook. You can reach out. You can reach out to me 605-454-4092 or John Musso 605-454-2473, or check any of the bathroom stalls. You'll find his number.
For a good time, training in law enforcement.
For a great time, call John Musso. He'll set it up.